morning everybody and welcome to the Museum of Cornish Life in Helston. My name's Rachel and I am the curatorial intern here at the museum. So I'm in the building today just to do some essential building checks and make sure we're all in one piece, which we are, fantastic. And I'm in splendid isolation apart from the fact that I have my lovely sister with me who has volunteered to be our camera woman for today, so thank you to her. We are going to be continuing our series of crafty videos today, basically showing you things you can do at home to keep busy with limited resources. So we are going to be making our own paints today. So in order to inspire us to become a little bit more creative, I thought we would have a look at some of the art that we already have here at the museum. So these paintings on my right were commissioned by TCG Rosevear in the 1970s. So he was an oil tanker driver and made regular deliveries to the Helston area and was keen that others should enjoy some of the rarely seen houses that he had served and knew so well. So he asked Geoff Heaton to do some paintings for him. And you might recognise some of the places actually. We've got Mount George at Feoch, we've got Roscrooge Barton at Monachan. This is really interesting because it's Devon School and Market Hall, and we wonder with these paintings whether they were painted directly from photographs. Obviously it's a bit of an unusual angle, and we wonder if TCG Rosevear had taken the photo from his oil tanker cab and given it to Geoff Heaton to do the paintings from. But they're really, really lovely. We're very lucky to have them. And I have to say, for the longest time, I actually thought they were photographs until somebody pointed out that they are paintings. So why don't we have a go at making some of our own paintings and actually putting together our own paint with stuff that you might find at home. So we've created a little art station here in the drill hall. And the first thing I'm going to show you is how to make a kind of dark paint which is perfect for outlines out of coffee. So you need probably a couple of teaspoons of coffee and just mix it in a bowl with some water. It can be cold water. There we go. Mix it together and it forms a kind of dark dye, really. Basically like making your own watercolour paint. Now if you don't have a paintbrush at home, what you can do is make your own. So we did these this morning. It's literally straws with a bit of sponge attached to the top. This was an old washing up sponge. And just put it together with some masking tape, and you can make them into different sizes for different brush strokes. So I've been so inspired by the paintings on the wall that I'm going to try and make my own house. It absolutely will not be as good as anything on the wall. So I'm telling you that now, don't get your hopes up. There we go, so we've got a rough outline of a house. Okay, I'm going to put in some windows. And a chimney. And when you're making your own, you do not have to do a house. I'm sure you can do something a lot more creative and fun. And I'd also like to put a tree in the garden. So I'm going to pop that here. So you can see that it's starting to look a bit like a home. Just there. I'd like to give my painting a bit of a kind of dusky background. So what I've done is got a fruit tea bag and put it in some water, cold water, it doesn't have to be boiling. And I'm just going to, you can see, I'm just going to brush this tea bag over the painting to make a kind of dusky sky. It's very pink. There we go. If if you want to make something like a treasure map, you can use a normal tea bag and basically do the same thing, and it gives it a really nice kind of old worldy feel. So it might be fun to make your own treasure map of your house, maybe hide things around the house for your family to find. And the next thing I'm going to do is use a new concoction. So this is PVA glue and some food colouring, and it's quite useful for adding some extra detail. So I'm just going to wash my brush, and I'd like my tree to be a magnolia tree because they're my favourite. So I'm just going to put some flowers here, just enough so you can see what it is, hopefully. And I'd also like to put some grass in the garden and give it a little bit of colour. So I'm going to do this by mixing together some fairy liquid with some food colouring, just a dash of green food colouring. Mixing that together. And what I'm going to use for this particular part is an old toothbrush. Don't use your current toothbrush, because the brush gives it a really nice kind of grass effect. You can also use a straw if you want to create more bubbles. So I'm just going to brush these over. It's quite hard to do upside down. There we go. So it's a little bit of a textured effect. And I think this garden deserves a few more flowers as well, so I'm going to paint some more on here. You can vary the colour of the food dye you use a little more food dye if you want some darker colours. And, and this is my painting. So as I said earlier, I'm sure you'll be able to come up with something more artistic and creative at home. But anyway, hopefully that will give you a rough idea of how to use different materials you might have lying around the house. You can also use shaving foam with some food colouring. That'll give your work a little bit of a different texture. Things like yogurt can actually be used to make clouds in your painting. You can mix together an egg yolk and some food colouring. That gives another quite nice base. Obviously, if you're going to be using perishable items in your painting, it won't last for as long. But anyway, if you're really stuck for resources, it's worth having a look in the fridge. If you have something like old egg boxes, these can be used and dipped into paint to make geometric patterns. Also, if you cut up a potato, you can make potato prints. If you carve kind of patterns into the potato and dip it in the paint, you're set to go. So that is how to make your own paints. Thank you very much for joining us today. Please keep an eye on the Museum of Cornish Life social media channels, where we're going to be posting more kind of crafty videos and also giving you a bit of an insight into some more of our collections. So again, thank you very much for joining us, and take care.